video hopefully will help to make it simple to create your diptych. So it's a quick review of how to make a diptych depending on whether you're doing a landscape or portrait layout. So let's start with the first option, which is to have two landscape photos in a portrait document. There are two things you need to do. You're going to make a new project, and give this a second, and it's supposed to be in inches. Don't forget, your document will be in inches. You want it to be 8.5 by 11 inches, and it should be 150 dots per inch. This is the most important part that everybody is missing out. Do not forget that that number needs to be the same for all photos and this document. If for some reason you forget that, and or you're not measuring in inches, that's going to be a problem and your photos won't be the correct size. So I create my blank document. This is my blank sheet of paper, and this is where I'm going to put my photos. Now don't forget, you can also turn on the ruler with the Control R on your keyboard. Control R brings up the ruler, and if you right click, you can use two fingers. If you have a trackpad on a computer, bring up the little menu and make sure it measures in inches. So we set this aside now. And now it's very important that you already have your photos ready. You were supposed to take some photos for this project, different types, 2 diptych photos. And here I've got a couple of photos that we did in class. The 2 contrasting, a forest and a desert, right? So I need to get those 2 photos to be in this document. They have to match in size, they have to match in resolution. So at first I'm going to open each one. So I'm going to File, Menu, Open, and I'm going to go to my home folder on the desktop, and I'm going to start with one photo. So here's the photo. Now look at the ruler. This says it measures 16 inches. That is not correct, right? That is not going to fit into this document. But not only that, this image is also in 72 dots per inch. So again, that's not going to match. So I need to size this properly. The directions say your photos are supposed to either measure 6 by 4 or 4 by 6, depending on what type of layout you have. These are the landscape ones. So I'm going to enter 6 by 4, and I'm going to enter 150. That's my dots per inch. And I click OK. And don't forget, oops, I made a mistake too. Do not forget, if you make the mistake, that happens. So I'm going to undo and try again. I'm going to go to Image, Size, enter in inches, 6 by 4. And I forgot to put inches. I'm going to enter 150 and then click OK. So now, if you look at the ruler, it's 6 by 4. That's what I want. I am now ready to take this window and the contents of this photograph and copy them over. So remember, the 3 commands are Command A, Command C, and then switch over to the other document and Command V. And then we can use the Move tool to click on our layers and move them around. So I can move this photo up so I can then have room for the second photo. I'm going to open my second photo now. Same process. Open the forest. So here I've got a forest, and this image right now also does not measure the correct size. It's too big and the resolution is wrong. So I'm going to resize it. Make sure that this is in inches. Make sure that this measures 6, that this measures 4, and that this measures 150 dots per inch, so that it matches the same as the blank document. Click OK. And notice that the ruler now matches correctly, right? 6 by 4. And I'm going to do my 3 commands. Select all, Control A, Control C to copy, go to my new document, and Control V to paste. And now I have got my 2 photos side by side. They're exactly the same size. Now I just need to make sure that those frames, the borders and margins are equal. So notice when I move around the photos, they snap. This actually helps you center against the document the objects you put in. So that will actually help you get the left and the right margin. But then the top and the right, you got to make sure that they also are as equal as possible. I'm looking for visual equality because sometimes measuring with this program can be a little tricky. It looks like there is the ability to have maybe about an inch margin from the top. If you look 0 to 1, there's about 1 inch there. And you can do the same thing from the bottom. If you go from 11 to, let's see, from 11 to 10, try to put that photo at the 10 and you will have an equal margin on both sides. You can use the guides like I've mentioned in class, but in Photopea they're not very accurate. So now I've got my exact margin from the top, bottom, left, and right, and this would be something that I could turn in. This would be my diptych. I would just double click the title, put my name, and this is diptych, and then of desert and forest. Click OK, and then download it as a PSD and turn that into Schoology. I hope this helps you guys. I know that this has been a little challenging, but once we do this a few times, people will have no problem doing this.